Well, hello everybody, and welcome to yet another brand new sparkling edition of the show we call the Inworld Review. We bring you the latest sort of headline news, anyway, and discussion concerning virtual worlds, or what we commonly refer to as the metaverse. These are immersive spaces. Occasionally, you'll find them on the web, but normally they're sort of standalone clients and things like that. We're broadcasting to you, I should say, today from our headquarters for MetaWorld Broadcasting over on the Great Canadian Grid. Sorry, everybody, which is one of an example of the whole world of open sim platforms. In fact, most of these are actually connected together by a system called the hypergrid, which kind of works like the World Wide Web in that you can jump from one space to another space online just as easily as you can jump from one page to another web page by following a hyperlink. There are, of course, other virtual worlds, some of them open simulators, some proprietary, which work in their own idea of solitary confinement, I guess. In other words, they don't cooperate with the rest of the universe. And we do cover those too. You'll be surprised to know, because many of them sort of did a lot of pioneering work in this space and are still with us. Anyhow, to get down to business, as it were, today is, and of course he does need to look at his calendar to check as it isn't April 1st. It's now the 18th. If I got that right, I'll put my glasses on. Yes, it's the 18th of April of the grand old year 2015, and I haven't even slipped up on that one yet, so I'm doing quite well this year. And we are coming to you, as I said, from our HQ on the Great Canadian Grid. Today, one of my co-hosts, Tara Yates, is filming this, or streaming it, I should say, as well. And she's decided to sit out again on the conversation. She will be back with us. Don't worry, she hasn't gone anywhere. And in 2 weeks, we'll be doing a second live show. So I'm sure we'll have to have a show and tell on that, won't we? In the meantime, of course, I'll just introduce who is here. And right next to me, you can probably see her on the camera, is Maria Koroloff. Welcome, Maria.
Thanks, Mel. Great to be here.
Maria will, in due course, in fact, any second now, I'll be taking over the mic to talk about the headline news, fairly briefly, hopefully, from Hypergrid Business before we get into discussion. Meanwhile, I'll move to our other guests. Next to Maria, we have somebody else who may be familiar to regular viewers. It's Fuschia Nightfire. Welcome, Fuschia.
Hi there, Mel.
Great to meet you. Oh, see you, sorry. And of course, since you were last on the show, we have actually met in the organic sphere, which was very enjoyable too. I was admiring one of your murals, of course, but we'll
Yes.
talk about that briefly in a bit. You are, of course, an artist both in real life and in the virtual world. You also film machinima and all sorts of stuff. And I always associate you, along with Thurza and Wizard Oz Chrome and things, as the founders of the Hypergrid Safari. So you've got that hat to wear as well, so
That's
to
right,
speak.
yes.
So a woman of many facets, I think we'll say. But we'll come back and discuss that in a while. Next to Fuschia, we're joined by somebody else who's actually been here before too, and it's Leslie from Tangle Grid. Welcome, Leslie.
Welcome.
Do you know
Thanks
my?
for inviting me again. I had a great time last time I was here, so I'm assuming it's going to be the same.
I hope it will. I'm so embarrassed. I'm going to admit this live. I've just drawn a mental blank on your second name. I can't.
Kling.
Kling,
Kling.
that's it, Leslie Kling.
Leslie
Okay,
Kling.
to get it right. But I actually can't see the second live interface while I'm on the show, so I can't see the name tag, and for some reason the Skype call just shows you as Leslie with one eye. So anyway, these things happen, don't they? So welcome back, Ms. Kling.
Thank you very much.
I don't know why I forgot that, because it always reminds me of Klingon, but I don't think we'd better go there.
No. Indeed.
Right, so just spinning around to the other side. Next to me on my other side, we're joined wonderfully costumed. Interesting legs. Sorry, I'm not going to go there. But we're joined for the first time ever, in fact, by Cherry Manga. Now, we won't be hearing much from Cherry because she's not very confident speaking English. She's a member of Franco Grid. She's a very well-known artist. And you actually see a lot of machinima works, which I don't know Cherry does, but featuring her work, if nothing else. And Fuschia is involved in this too, but Cherry is very much behind a forthcoming event called Festavi, which will be happening, I guess, centered over on Franco Grid, and we'll be having a little talk about that later. So just to acknowledge you're here, I'll say hello to you, Cherry, and welcome, and maybe you just say welcome back. Maybe not. So next to Cherry, she's nodding her head, so there we go. Next to Cherry is her associate Praline, who is actually going to act as a sort of intermediary here. In other words, she'll be translating and talking on behalf of Cherry. Praline's in English is more than adequate for our purposes. So welcome, Praline. Both in your own right, on behalf of Cherry, I should say.
Thank you very much. I'm not sure I'm better than Cherry, but I will try.
You will try. Well, that's more than she's going to do, isn't it? Sorry. Okay. Well, we will come round to Festavi in due course. As usual, however, I'm just going to quickly put my glasses on and scan my Twitter feed for any important highlights before handing over to Maria for the main Hypergrid news. I will say from my Twitter feed that as well as Hypergrid Business, which is Maria's site, of course, she's also behind another site called Hyperica, which is a sort of destination listing. And there have been masses of posts from Hyperica as well as Hypergrid Business this week. So we shouldn't be, hopefully, we won't spend the whole show on those. Okay, from earlier in the week, you have to go to my Twitter feed to actually get the links to this, I'm afraid. So basically, you can regular news on my main Twitter feed at twitter.com/malburns, all one word. 4 days ago, there was a tweet. Intel, who of course make chips, have made a multi-million-dollar investment in virtual reality enterprise developer WorldViz. And that article came from a website called Road to VR. I can't just tell you that much. Another interesting link. Again, you'll have to look it up. But headline article: liquor brands want to hypnotize you with virtual reality bar entertainment. You can just imagine all the possibilities here. You know, you buy a strong alcohol from the bar, and then there's a big sort of screen behind you with interactive virtual reality, and you get so immersed that you have another drink and another drink and another drink. And actually, by the time you've had a few drinks, you probably don't care whether you're immersed or not. Okay, but interesting stuff. Commerce gets in. I suppose the alcohol industry is the obvious second runner after the sex industry, really, when it comes to invading things. Okay. Also, another thing called Project Morpheus. Sony, yes, the ones who bought out on Live, plan to make virtual reality a social experience. And Project Morpheus, of course, relates to, the current obsession with VR hardware and all the variations people can cough up on it, basically. Rather than any sort of software platform, though I have heard it muted recently that Sony may well be taking a lot of the patent stuff they bought from OnLive to provide some virtual reality gaming streaming facility that will be unique to PlayStation systems. So I suppose it would make sense that having bought all the patents, they find a way to use them. About that. Oh, yes. Okay. Scan. I'm just avoiding all the ones that say Hyperica and Hypergrid Business. A report yesterday, in fact, pings from the afterlife, all one word, pings from the afterlife, .blogspot.com. And the latest post was called Divine Safari. That's Thursday Ember's weekly roundup of what happened on Safari. on Wednesday of the week. She does a post after Safari every week, and of course we had a final time this week. I also have some very good news. I don't normally do this, but we did a couple of stops, and one of the stops we actually visited on Wednesday was the University of Irving, California, I think the official name is. And I also, I finally managed to pin down Krista Lopez, who's the inventor of the hypergrid. And she will be joining us on the show on May the 9th. So that's going to be a real special program. I will add, by the way, if anybody out there fancies doing some camera work, unfortunately, Tara is actually going to be away in the organic space on that date. And so I am actively looking for somebody who can actually fire up our Procuster program and stream on that day. So if there's anybody out there who wants to volunteer for May the 9th, come into Canada Grid here and stream for us, I might love to hear from you. But I'm no doubt I'll be pestering a few people on route anyway. Right, so that's a few weeks ahead anyway. Here we are, Road to VR again. 2 new VR experiences highlight the creative power of browser-based VR. And that again was a post at roadtovr.com. Do remember that these tend to be standalone VR experiences. They're not really virtual worlds, but they're covering very different things that are coming up, including music video experiments that are just taking different angles on what might be possible with VR as kind of installations. You know, there's very little software around yet that's experimenting with the hardware combination of new VR, as it were, with actual communities and virtual worlds. But, you know, it's coming together slowly. In our pay, I had a post literally in the last 24 hours. I've sent it up anyway. A perspective on avatars and identity, which was quite interesting. Good old hypergrid business again. New destination guide for grids, but we'll be hearing about that in a minute. And more Hyperica. Finally, a thorough list. I don't know where this came from. It was actually Ebbe Alsberg, the CEO of Second Life, that tweeted this. I retweeted it at Scoop It. An article called "A Surrealistic Second Life Designer on the Role of Pure Play." It's actually, you know, a Serious Glossy magazine article. I forget the name of the magazine it appears in, but it's, you know, a nice feature on an artist who works in Second Life, you know, designing things and heavily illustrated. Just a nice article, good PR, I reckon, for Second Life. And if you interpret it appropriately, the metaverse as a whole. I don't have the link handy here, but I did notice in passing, it's probably in my Second Life feed, Hamlet Orr's blog actually had something rather curious in the last couple of days. He honed in on a Pakistani guy who actually has done a lot of work in World, but honestly never heard of him, as a Second Life comedian, you know, a stand-up comedian, you know, in the like Long Wayland and things like that. And although I'd never heard of him, he's made a bit of a name for himself. And he works out of Pakistan. He is a comedian in English, and he's just netted a job with the BBC here in London doing a show as a result of doing a stand-up comedy in Second Life, which ain't half bad as a career move, I don't think. So good luck to him. And finally, this is actually a 2-year-old video clip that came on Road to VR this morning, but they've got an article going with it, examining how the gulf between high-end military virtual reality and consumer virtual reality is rapidly shrinking. The divide between them, that is, not market. So, interesting post there. But anyway, enough from me. I'm going to hand the mic over now to Maria for all her latest news summary, both from Hypergrid Business and from Hyperica, and anything else that springs to mind too. So, welcome, Maria. Over to you.
All right, Mel. So you mentioned the destination guide already. And what this is last summer, one of the grids realized that you can have a destination guide for your own grid by tweaking the settings appropriately in the grid configuration. Mm-hmm. And they set up a guide. The OSCC had a destination guide, but somehow I didn't it didn't come to my attention. Everybody forgot about it until the Xmere Grid set up a destination guide a week ago. And I was like, oh my God, that is so cool. And so what I did was I set up a Hyperica destination guide. And this isn't just for Hyperica. Anybody can use this. Any grid that wants to have a destination guide for their own residents, but doesn't want to go through the giant amount of effort it takes to actually create one, can feel free to just point to my destination guide, which is at hyperica.com/destination guide. Or you can take the HTML files that I have and just adapt them for your own use. Because I figured out the layout and the CSS and everything that makes it work. And I copied this. I was inspired by the Second Life destination guide, but the Second Life destination guide has a whole bunch of external CSS files and all sorts of other stuff. I took out all the excess. I put it so every file is self-contained, so you can just copy and paste the HTML. It's all the styles. Everything is included right in there. Very short little tidbit. Very easy to edit if you know HTML, and you can just put that in. Just change the colors to make it fit your grid and put it in. It's really, really easy to use. Once you have it, you just click the destination guide button. I have one on my Firestorm panel right there. Then you click on a picture and it takes you there. It is so easy. My destination guide right now, it has the most popular grids, which are the 15 grids ranked by amount of traffic. It has all the grids, all the grids that I could add in alphabetical order. It has some events are up there, and a few hyperports are up there. Sanctuary and Soliton, Hyperica, and Open Sim Worlds. So this is a great general purpose guide for anybody who wants one for their grid, to either edit or to use as is. And it does make travel so easy. I can't believe I haven't had this before. It is so nice. And as part of creating this guide, I also figured out the coding for the hypergrid links. So if you're on a website, what link do you click to initiate an in-world teleport? And I found 7 different ways to set it up. I tested them all with the viewers, and I figured out one which works in both Firestorm and Singularity. And I posted that up there. It's Second Life : 3/ app/teleport/hypergrid address. And so that's
you still use Second Life in the address?
Yes, because the hop links don't work consistently across all the viewers.
Okay.
Yep, I tried using the hop ones. I really did my best. I'm looking. Cinder is working on it. She's a developer who used to work with Firestorm. Has now gone independent, and she promised to get this done for both Firestorm and Singularity. So I look forward to that. Meanwhile, the Second Life is the one that works best. Now, the way it works is if the viewer isn't turned on, it will launch whatever viewer you installed last. Right. So if you installed another viewer after Firestorm, then uninstall it and reinstall Firestorm again to make it your default.
I guess it's file associations, isn't it? The latest viewer that you install changes the association.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Now, as part of this project, I had to figure out which viewers were the most used, because there's so many different viewers out there, and at first I was testing them with a whole bunch of them, with Kakua, with Impudence, with there's a million of viewers out there, and it was just getting too much to try to test all these different protocols, and what I did was, I would have loved to get the OS Grid access numbers for what percentage of people use which viewer, but then I realized, wait a second, I have a grid. I can get those access numbers myself. So I called my hosting company. I had them send me my access logs for for 3,600 the previous visitors, which is a pretty good size sample of hypergrid traffic. And Firestorm is used by the majority of people. Twice as many people as use Singularity. Singularity is next up with less than a third of users. Everybody else has 3% or less. So if you're a hypergrid enabled grid or developer or anything, basically the only viewers you really need to worry about are Firestorm and Singularity.
It's funny, I was I was asked off the cuff my opinion on that question yesterday by a chap called Bob. He's a friend of Fuschia and mine anyway. And I just said, well, I'm pretty certain Firestorm is in the majority, and probably Singularity's a good second. And I said, you probably don't need to worry about the rest. And I was bang on the mark by the sound of it.
Yep.
Yeah, fair enough.
And now if you remember last week, we had Firestorm's project manager on, and we found out that Firestorm is actually the preferred viewer in both Second Life and OpenSim, and you can use the same viewer in both places. Yeah. And she's committed to OpenSim. She thinks OpenSim is the future of the metaverse. So I am very happy at this point to say that Hyperica and Hypergrid Business recommend the Firestorm viewer to the average user of OpenSim and Second Life.
Right, I think so. Yeah.
So yeah. So moving on. Other statistics this month, the number of grids hit a record high, number of regions hit a record high, the number of active users fell just a little bit to just below the 30,000 mark, and that could be possibly a seasonal thing because I saw that drop going across all the grids. The big gainers were OS Grid with 500 new regions, followed by ATEC with 254, and Kitely with 125 regions, and Franco Grid with 103 new regions. So good job, those grids.
I hear the applause.
Yep. All right. So and then I ranked them all by popularity. Inworlds, of course, was the most popular. I'm going to have to recheck that popularity section because I might have accidentally copied the one from last month. Moving on.
There was I think it's the Tinies fraternity. I know them in Second Life. I forget what the Sims are called. Raglanshire, that's it.
Raglanshire
have just announced they're closing down their presence in Inworlds. They're still in Second Life, of course, but
they're saying they haven't been getting a lot of use out of their regions there. So it's pretty sad.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, the Kitely market, I get some more statistics from them. They have passed the 8,000 item mark. They now have 8,300 different items. And the exportable items are growing fast, and the non-exportable ones are staying level. Merchants are switching over to the exportable format and selling to the hypergrid, which I'm extremely happy about. And Island Elon was a little bit more forthcoming with data than he usually is. He told us that tens of thousands of dollars worth of products have been sold to 80 different grids.
80?
80. 80 different grids. Yep. All right. One of our readers, Paul Emery, he's from Detroit. He has put together a how-to for how to export your OpenSim build into Unity 3D, so you can walk around in it if you have an Android phone and a Google Cardboard headset. So if you can spring for $5-10 for this piece of cardboard that folds into a headset, and I mean, I've read these instructions and my head is spinning. You need you don't need 3D development kit. You need all this stuff. It's like, oh my God, there's no way I'm doing this.
And actually, at the end of the day, of course, all it does is keep a virtual recreation of your sim, but it's not something that's where you can have visitors, is it? It's just a copy of your sim you can walk around on via Unity. So one wonders the worth.
Exactly. So it's kind of like a preview. So for example, you are building a new park in a downtown area, and you build it in OpenSim because it's quick and easy. You export this to Unity, and you let people, stop by and put this on so they will see what the park will look like when it's finished.
Yeah.
Or a building, or whatever it is.
Actually, I mean, I suddenly realised, actually, for something like the thing, Fuschia, but I'll talk to her in a second, prototypes in a virtual world, what she was before she did it in the real world. And, if clients wanted changes, she would make the changes virtually and show them the changes. I think that's right, isn't it, Fuschia? And that you get it all perfect.
That's right, yes.
You get it all perfect before you actually did it. So I suppose it's the same sort of thing. If you're working on a virtual prototype to show a client, you can do it in Unity because it's a standalone environment, and you just take the client there.
And the advantage of doing it in OpenSim versus just building in Unity from scratch is that you can have everybody contribute to the build in OpenSim. Once it's done, you just have, I would recommend just hiring somebody to export it, and they just do the export part and give you your Android app, so that you don't need to hire 3D builders and developers to actually build a thing, all mesh, because that's just prohibitively expensive. But building an OpenSim, this is something all of us can do. There's so much content already available. It's something you can do very quickly and very easily. It doesn't take 3D modeling ability. Last week I talked about how I took that Blender tutorial. I have to say I respect those people who could do it. I see why they're paid the money that they're paid. But I am so happy with my OpenSim Inworld building tools. I can't even tell you.
Yeah, I'm having a whale of a time with mine in here, and it's something I've never really done before, build or terraform or anything, and now I've got to stop. I'm going to interrupt very briefly because you did remind me of something that wasn't in my Twitter feed for some reason. There was a post a couple of days ago from Reaction Grid, who, of course, nowadays they don't have an OpenSim installation, although they may maintain their Office one, but they have an application called Jibe. And they also in Unity, and their Jibe worlds and things actually play back through the Unity web player, basically, which is like a plugin, like a Flash plugin. And there's a lot of annoyance this week because the latest updates of Google Chrome has deactivated. Apparently, the Unity viewer will no longer run in Google Chrome. And obviously, there's people who have used Unity to build a wonderful virtual environment to take people to, and those people happen to use Chrome. Well, they can't get there anymore. And of course, Chrome is a very popular viewer. It's probably as popular as Internet Explorer is unpopular. So
Yeah.
So that was a bit of sad news. I imagine that would be something that would be addressed. I can't see the guys at Unity, for one thing, lying down and taking that without pursuing somebody. But at the moment, it does mean that Unity is dysfunctional on the web via Google Chrome. Yeah.
Okay. So you brought up that my new assistant, Tyler Baba, has been adding a lot of stuff to Hyperica. And he was a first-time user to OpenSim when I hired him a couple of weeks ago. And he did and I asked him to keep track of what his experience was like as a first-time user. And he wrote a little column for me. And the things that really stuck with him that he got held up on was the whole cloud thing, which a lot of people are, because he started on OS Grid, so he didn't start with a default avatar. And with the camera controls, with the Control Alt thing with the cameras, at first every snapshot he took with Hyperica had a little white cloud in the center of it.
Oh.
And it took me a few times before I realized, oh, wait a second, this is what's going on.
he has it, he's just taking a screenshot with his avatar centered, and his
His
avatar's a
avatar is
cloud.
centered, and the avatar is a cloud. Yeah, so I had to help him out. Yeah, but it took a little bit for me to click, like, oh, that's what's happening. Yeah. So that's a little bit of a heads up to grid owners who are setting up a welcome region. Make those, you don't like grids seem to go either no help or way too much help. Like they'll have a big tutorial section in OpenSim with all sorts of too much stuff in it. Well, since using the arrow keys, or in his case WASD keys, is kind of intuitive for walking around, but the camera is definitely not intuitive, and fixing the cloud was not intuitive, and those are two things that are kind of important. So maybe figure out a way to make those two things really clear to newbies, or give them a starting avatar. There's really no excuse these days.
Yeah, there are many grids that have really excellent tutorials for newcomers to virtual worlds, but of course others just have welcome centers telling what's on the grid. So it's been worth having a category actually of tutorial centers in Hyperica or something, just listing the grids that have good thorough.
I do have that. The thing is, nobody uses tutorials. There's just too much stuff. So if somebody wants to find how to do a specific thing, they'll just Google it. They won't bother to work through an Inworld tutorial.
Well, you've actually just made me think that downstairs in the mental health welcome area, I've got portals like Sanctuary and Hyperica, but it would be worth me actually digging up a sim that's got really good first user information, and actually put a display up for that sim, just as a courtesy, because they've got the really good first user guide.
What I would love to see is the first new user tutorial that's set up like a game, where if you finish it, you win something. And there's intermediary steps where you win stuff. So it kind of makes it a gamey kind of fun experience. That you can
I know the perfect prize. There's a little thing they have in Second Life, and it's an attachment you wear, and it's called a declouding device. Sorry. I had to. Wouldn't that be a perfect prize for a newbie who goes to the cloud?
Well, for the declouding, all you need is a starter avatar. Really, most good grids have that these days. I'm surprised OS Grid didn't set one up when they redid the whole grid.
A lot of the time, that's a skin shape issue, though. I find. That's why your cloud, if you switch your skins for another skin and back, it fixes it right off the bat.
Yeah,
so basically that's what's in the box.
Okay.
It's just another skin, another shape. So.
And I think there may be complications with places like OS Grid, which, much to my surprise, when they came back, they still don't have the suitcase. We talked about this before.
Yeah. Not everybody likes the suitcase.
Yeah. Unfortunately, though, if you've got something in your suitcase, like your wig and your costume, it will travel around with you because it's in your suitcase. But you often find disappearing kit because the kit you're wearing is stored on your local grid, and it for one reason or another it's not in the suitcase, so it's on it's not on the shared asset system, it's on the local asset system. And I pick up things in OS Grid, for example, and I bring they arrive, but they don't go in the suitcase, to go into OS Grid local folder, and of course by the time I get home here, for example, the local folder is a completely different grid, and myself. It's all very cumbersome, but hopefully, I just would love to see a world where we don't have to worry about that sort of stuff. But there you go. Anyway, Maria, I'm keeping an eye on the clock, so let's go. So let's go through everything else.
So that's it. So I posted an article today with some advice for people giving away freebies, where basically I urged them to use the CC0 license, as opposed to the buy and see one that most designers use, and that is, I think that's it for me. I've got a whole slate of stories I'm working on for this coming week. The big thing I'm going to be working on is I'm going to be fixing the calendar so we can get events, upcoming live events into the destination guide. So if anybody wants to help out with that, just let me know. Okay. And I'll stop talking because my voice is...
Yes, you're much better than last week. I can see you well in the recovery, but we'll give you a little rest. I'm sure you'll be back in the conversation shortly. I know, especially when we get around to Leslie, but I've got a note in here from Skype, so something she mentioned during the week, which we'll bring up into discussion later. Okay, for now, I'm going to move straight on over to the amazing Thursday. I'm looking at my camera, so I'm trying to focus in on her. It's so different from the rest of us boring personalities, talking heads. Flamboyant helmet, formidable chest line, and very metallic robot-y costume, I guess. Anyway, welcome to Thursday. I'm going to start by just catching up with things with you. We'll move rapidly on to Festavi. But I must say, it was great to meet you the other week, by the way, and your wonderful mural that you did in London. I mentioned earlier, of course, that when we're referencing Unity, that of course you have this thing where you literally prototype real world artwork in the virtual environment, and then show it to the client. And if the client wants to make changes, you make all the changes virtually, so that when you actually go ahead and do this work in the real world, it's ready to go. The brief is satisfied. All you got to do is render it, is the way I put it.
That's right. Yes.
So I've said it all, really, haven't I?
You have.
But no, it's a great example of best practice in virtual worlds. The real, it's a very real world application of the environments, and especially as it's, it's heart based. We hear plenty of examples of the way they train doctors and soldiers and stuff using virtual worlds, but it's just proof of the pudding that it can be used in even the more, shall we say, less mainstream sort of utility. Things like your art can be done that way.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. For people that don't know, I'm a mural artist, and I specialise in trompe l'oeil murals. And what I was doing, the one you came to see in London, was a 3D house that had a broken wall, and you looked into the inside of the building. And I actually built a 3D model of it in virtual worlds because the client wanted to have it quite detailed before we even started it. So.
And they came back and made changes subsequently.
They were actually making changes while I was still working on it.
Oh yeah, no, that's commercial clients for you, isn't it?
Which was really good.
Some art director or somebody always lurking around in the background, wanting to prove their worth as the manager by making their own.
It was good that I could access it while I was actually working away from home, and I could get online and just make changes to it and. Get them approved before we went ahead and painted it.
All right. So that one's over. Any exciting other projects you're working on at the moment, either virtually or in the real world, or on collision course with each other?
Well, funny you should mention that, because the project I'm working on at the moment is the Festavi.
Right.
Making avatars for Cherries and Praline's project. So yeah, I've just submitted my first one. I finished it yesterday, and I'm hoping to make some more for that.
Right. I was saying, apparently, it's all embargoed, isn't it? You are not allowed to attend this program in the costume you just said.
No, it's all top secret.
Okay, well, let's move on to that. I know you. You speak perfect English because you are English. You don't even speak American. Forgive me, everybody else. Cherry, of course, has great difficulty speaking with English, but she is here with Praline, and we can sort of, between the three of you, discuss a bit more about Festave. I will start with you. I think maybe you're the best person. Since you're involved with it, to actually describe what it is and what it's all about, and when it is. And I think the submissions thing is over now, isn't it? But anything you can tell us before I move to Praline?
No, sorry, excuse me. The submission, it's still open to submissions, as far as I know. I think that you had to register drops for them, so that they're doing this huge presentation thing when it's launched. And she gave us a little preview of that a couple of weeks ago on the HG Safari. And she's doing fantastic work. She's making all these magnificent scenery things for each avatar. So the sooner you get them in, the sooner the more time she has to work on these presentations for them. So, yeah.
Okay, well, before we go over more on that, Cherry has actually just typed into the back chat here in Skype where to get more information for this. So I'm going to quickly read it out for the sake of our viewers. So grab your pen and paper, 10987654, etc. Okay, it's http://francogrid.org/infos, that's like INFOS, /2015 in numbers, /03/18/ and then fest, that's FEST dash AVI AVI dash 2015 dash call dash 4 dash participation. So if you'll be hearing a bit more about it any second now, but if you're interested, that is actually the link you want to go to for that, and we'll try and read it out again later if some of us catch up with our own memories. Right. Okay. Well, let's move over to Praline. Are you there, Praline?
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Great. Well, welcome to the show once again. I've got you and Cherry in camera at the moment, so we can see you. Both of you are rather nicely kitted out as well. Minimalistic in the case of Cherry, and fairly sort of flamboyant in the case of you. But everybody knows that. They can see you on our wonderful camera system. That's TV for you. So have you anything to add to that? Maybe you can tell me a little bit more about the purpose of Festavi. Is it just for creating whole avatars? Is it a competition? Is it more? Well, it's clearly an art project, but it's a creative project with other purposes. Is the whole gamut, really. Anything you feel you can tell us about it, and what's happening, of course. Yeah.
Okay. First, Festavi was designed last year just to answer to the user needs in FrancoGrid and to contribute to the evolution of FrancoGrid. We thought and we found that our proposal in terms of avatars for the first connection was so poor, and we enjoy to be in OpenSim, of course, but we found that the proposals were very, very poor. And maybe because people in OpenSim are very concentrated to build and to test and to work in a different way than in Second Life, for example. Right. So we just start on this idea to enrich the proposals. And after the first edition, we were so so glad because we found that the answer of people were very good. The feedback was very good. So we decided with Sherry, okay, so we go again and we try to open this festival, and we really want that the festival. Yes, we hope that it will be something like the cream of the top for Avatar in OpenSim. I think yes, we want that, and we hope that it's the reason why it is really open to all the metaverse, to all the people. To all the inhabitants of metaverse, the great metaverse. So it's really a call for a big participation, and I thank you, Fuschia, because she answered very, very nicely, and she's almost ready, you know.
So tell me on the creative side, is it a wide open berth, as we'd say in English? In other words, I presumably includes people working in mesh or in flexes or in prims, and the whole, and also of course whatever they do to make the avatar skins and shapes. Presumably it's open to all these sort of new disciplines as well as the traditional ones, and just to come up with something new and exciting.
Yes, in fact, we give a kind of it's a blank check, you know. We want a participation, a big one, but also we insist you can create avatar with Prim and with something very simple. Product very well done, even in Prim, you know, but something very well done. We want to upgrade the level of creation in terms of avatars.
Yeah,
that we want.
And that we need. I'm still trying to get my OpenSim avatar into even a decent copy of the Second Life one, and even the decent Second Life one needs an awful lot of upgrading. So because you do see amazing avatars about, but you realize that these people are not like me, who just pick up hair and wigs and clothes and things everywhere, and just do the best what we can find. They're people who are actually working at every aspect of it: their own skin, their own shape, their own clothing, and things like that, and making it as real or as unreal as they really want. Tell me a little bit about what Cherry is doing here, if you will, or ask her, in fact, in French if you need to. Fuschia mentioned, for example, that she's worked on costume avatar per se, but that Cherry's working with backgrounds and things like that. So what are the function of these backgrounds? Are they going to be designed to be like backdrops in machinima environments, or are they for modeling purposes? What's the relationship with the backgrounds?
Ok, chérie, en français, donc tu peux donner une petite réponse là rapide, tu me l'écris dans le chat. And I will translate.
I see Cherry nodding very sweetly. I don't hear anything, of course. But,
yes, in fact, this year, Cherry is the artistic director for this festival, right. And she's think about to create decors for each avatar. Fitting the avatar, you know.
Right.
So it's a real hard work of Bill, because she she has to think about the atmosphere, and we will also demonstrate something that in OpenSim we can do marvelous, amazing thing with decor, wearable decor, and also with particles, and also yes, we can play with texture, and we can do an amazing show for each avatar we will be presented.
Can I just step in here, because
yeah, sure.
It was the HG Safari. We went to see Cherry did a presentation of the avatar that she's wearing at the moment, and it was absolutely amazing. Just this kind of like background that she put for the avatar. It was just it was so it was just so much work. I can't believe she's going to be doing this for each avatar. It's going to be a lot of work for her, but it's just so eye-opening.
So, for example, if it's someone dressed like you, for example, Fuschia, I'm sorry, I'm bad with names. So she would do kind of a, maybe better saying if it's like a space avatar, she would do a space kind of atmosphere background.
Exactly yes. Okay. Actually, I understand fully. I think because it's actually a bit like television. You know, you wear your costumes, you dress your avatar to come on here, whatever, look as good as or as bad as you want, and you know, but we have designed a set that isn't individual to you, but will hopefully blend with the assortment of avatars we're going to get on here. And this sounds to me like almost like a trade show where you've got a lot of models, model fashions, and in virtual terms, things like skins and shapes. And yet each of them has got a set basically built around them that is designed to fully match the mood and the possible meaning of the avatar. That's the gist.
And also, yes, and also it's it's a collective work, because we as Sherry is going on for each scene she creates, she works also with a musician. She's the name is Christine Webster. She's an artist. She works with sound topology, and she is looking at the scene, and she is compositing now the music for each scene. You know, it's really she wants a show. You know, a really big show, and. This show is just for having stars in the eyes and to be just merged in the universe of each avatar, you know.
I think it's going to be well worth seeing.
I also, I mean, just by the description and the concept of micro environments and avatars, you know, I keep building micro environments here for people to film in, you know, because it's open for people to come and film here. But I don't know about you, Fuschia, whether you intend to do any filming for this, but it sounds like an ideal place for us to come and, you know, take footage of the, of these final avatars in the surroundings that have been built for them, you know, and to film it.
Actually, yeah, I should talk to Cherry about filming it. I haven't actually thought of that, but yes, that would be a really good idea.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, it's the kind of machinima I love too. You know, I think the machinima for stuff with like good chill out music, but it's basically machinima made of art installations and things. And the best machinima obviously manages to walk around the installation and capture the mood of it. As best, you know, second best to actually being there. This certainly sounds like putting on a show. You know, it should be. Should film, if not stream it or something. Is there actually going to be a major opening event, like for it, or will it just open at a given time and be up for?
Can you repeat, please, the question?
Yeah, I'm just asking before we move on. Is there an actual opening date? Will there be like a big show opening it? Or will it just be more like an exhibition that starts at one date and closes on another?
Oh, the date is 6th of June,
Right.
next June, and it will be for one night, one evening show.
Oh, right.
But we are thinking maybe we think about it and maybe we can repeat it in other grade. If people ask, yes, we will do it. We will love to do it. And
it could be
we hope, yes.
It could be a traveling circus, although not a circus, of course. But I mean, sorry, a traveling
show.
A
traveling show.
Yeah, traveling show. No, there's a lyric.
Well, the other thing is all the avatars will be, as far as I'm aware, they're going to be free for people to collect. Is that right, Praline?
Oh, lovely.
Yes. Avatar, they all have to be under Creative Commons license, and this is I will pass you this is a creative by NCSA share alike 3.0, and in shibble and copyable. Okay, and that is the point, very important. And another point is that you can imagine what you want. All the categories are welcome, and yes, for the machinist, and they are very, very welcome, because we think that this show it will be something very artistic, and we think that we can do wonderful pictures there. So photograph and machinists are very welcome. And what I can say else, Chérie, have you something to do more? Tu as quelque chose à dire en plus, Chérie? Chérie?
I see that lovely little nod again.
Chérie is kidding me, and she just says that I hope to see this festival Oscars rewards.
Yes. Yes, Sunday. Well, the Abbey Awards, of course, are currently the.
Now we think that doing this kind of show is also to demonstrate that in a great metaverse, people can work together and for the same target, and develop open sim system too. It's also a good aspect of the thing.
I have to ask rather an embarrassing question, and I have no idea what the reply is going to be. I frequently. Do you think? I mean, obviously, some avatars are kind of, like a robot or a furry or something is almost sexless. But do you think that male style avatars will be equally representative, or do you find that the I don't know what it is, but the focus of contributions is maybe female orientated more than male? Any comments on that, really?
Well, I'm intending to make male and female versions of the avatars that I submit. So hopefully I'll cover both.
That's good. So it would be worth me coming along to collect one too.
If you want something a little bit different, yes.
Yes, indeed. Yeah, I mean, if it's so different, you won't better tell the difference, if you see what I mean. True. Okay, right. Well, let's move on for now. I'm going to move on to Leslie, and keep your ears open, because we'll come back to sort of some open discussion. I think in due course. But first of all, welcome back, Leslie.
Thank you, Mel.
From Tangle Grid, of course. Maybe before anything else, before I mention some things you mentioned in the week, just update on Tangle Grid. How are things going on your grid?
Well, we were talking about how you recreate things in world and then you do them in reality. We just finished a church. They want to rebuild their church in real life, and they want to see them, or actually add extensions to their church. So what we've done is created a region and recreated the whole church and the grounds and everything with the extensions added, so they can see a preview of what that architecture will look like when completed. Or they want to make the changes so that they can talk to their architects about how to change things. This is not going to work. This door has got to go here and blah, blah, blah. So that was just when we were talking about how you can create Inworld for the RL world market. So it's kind of a virtual seeing thing. And I think it's great what she's doing, like taking pictures and then, or sculptures or whatever she does, and making them in real life. I would have loved to see that in London. Get on that plane. It only takes an hour to get there.
Yes.
We've taken Pirate Island.
Actually, the mural is still there for indefinitely, isn't it, Fuschia?
It should be there for at least another couple of years. Because I think they're going to redevelop the site eventually, so it will be built up and
cover up that grassy car park.
That's right. They're planning on building a big hotel on that car park, so it won't be there indefinitely. But it'll be there for a good couple of years.
Yeah. We need pictures, girlfriend. We need pictures.
Oh, we have pictures. We
have a time lapse video of the mural being painted.
Cool. Oh yeah, we can show you. We can't necessarily get you there, but as you say, it will be there if you're passing. And Fuschia's got loads of pictures behind the scenes, in front of it, and all over the place, really. Yeah.
Like that.
Architecture, oddly enough, it's always been kind of a big thing in virtual worlds. I mean, back in when it was strictly Second Life, really, you had people like John Bouchard, and he photographs for Designing Worlds there, I forget his name, who really actively used virtual worlds for architecture, and he had wiki-texture, I think, didn't he, at one point, where and the interest has always been divided. There are like real world architects, not real world, but professional architects who actually architect for virtual spaces. In other words, they come up with ideas for pavilions and environments that could be prototypes for virtual meeting places and function places. And you got the other architect who's really just the old architect who suddenly sees, I can build this thing virtually and prototype it before I do it. Philip Rosedale was over here at the Tate Modern a couple of years ago now, I think it was, and he was actually meeting an architect society. So the whole talk was, about using virtual worlds for architecture, and the slideshow he brought with him was all this fantastic architectural building in Second Life, but in fact he didn't include any, although I put him on the spot about it, of the other kind of architecture where architects are actually working more in the sort of things that maybe Fuschia or the artists would do. And that is coming up with designs for spaces that have functionality, architectural functionality, even though they'll never be built anywhere other than the and maybe don't have. Although seats make people comfortable, it's like the real world connection, isn't it? So, it's going off on two separate paths there. Architects who think the virtual space will be the future, and architects who just are dealing in concrete and cardboard or whatever they build with these days, and, simply using the virtual space to prototype. So it's a very interesting division.
And we've also taken Pirate Island and moved it. I don't know whoever's been to Tangle Grid. We had a great big amusement park. We've now moved that away from the expo because the expo was getting that, that all those colors and your viewers were lagging out. And we've put it onto a 2x2 variable and spread it out. I've also created new rides and all that stuff. So it's now 2x2, which is 4 regions big. The only thing I have to do now is get T-Mac to script out all the rides that I've created. I can create them, I just can't script them.
Yeah, we all know this. Really. I can't even create them. I've rapidly felt that, I've realised wandering around here that, I'm having a whale of a time First it was terraforming, and then I actually built on top of the terraforming and decided I didn't like terraforming, so I actually flattened all the land again under the print building I'd done because you couldn't see it anymore anyway. But in fact, I keep realizing I'm moving this way and tweaking that and moving into a couple of new regions next door. And I'm not, I'm doing this stuff, but I'm not going back and decorating it. I'm just making caves and tunnels and walkways. And, I actually need somebody to come in and actually do the cosmetic decoration for me because, I'll just finish a space and then wander off and do a new one and forget about decorating it. It's there's a lot of work involved. But are you personally putting a lot of stuff up as a grid on your grid? Or like the things you mentioned, or are there many residents, region owners who are doing a lot of variety in that field too? Or is it a mixture of both?
No, I'm pretty well the only one that's done an amusement park. There is one region he's doing a Walt Disney thing. I don't know how far he is. I have to go check it because we have to be very careful with that as well because we don't want people like Walt Disney saying that's our trademark and hello. And it has happened in SL. There was a beautiful, beautiful Walt Disney. They called it Mickey's World or something like that. And they had to yank it down because the copyright was too close to the original. So I have to go take an eyeball on him and see how he's doing with that because he's a real Walt Disney nut. He's been to all the different Walt Disney worlds, Paris, Florida, wherever. That's what he does.
Great.
Yeah.
It's like there's certain commonalities I find actually that they're just popular culture things that so many people I forgot the word. Connect with. In Second Life, but also in Open Sim is extended. For example, there are umpteen things that are Star Trek.
Yes,
and
I have a great big spaceship too that I created.
And there's actually, believe it or not, multiple things that are Tolkien, and even the Harry Potter thing. People latch on to these and Star Wars as well as Star Trek and things. And Disney really should be an obvious one. They capture the imagination, and there's so many people that want to do their own recreations of that
but the
genre.
problem is these big large companies like Walt Disney or you get the virtual part of it, and then you can actually go and see the real one.
Yeah,
it's advertising, but they don't see it that way. They see it as copyrights infringement.
Yeah.
So
this is an endless problem, really. I mean, people obviously movie companies, for example, make money these days out of manufacturing games as well as the movies. Frequently, they'll film footage for the games whilst they're making the movie. So there is a tie over there, and when it comes to the games, that's very particular. But when it comes to the interactive environments, maybe nowadays they're suddenly going to think, oh well, there's going to be Oculus Rift headsets in every Disneyland, and they're going to move into a virtual version. With all that,
nothing's the same as a real life experience.
No, of course, yeah. But where as you say, they're out with copyright and things. It does seem self-defeating when they're getting free publicity, but also somebody does something really good, you would expect their action to be, we'll buy it.
Work for us,
come work for us. We'll buy it. We'll sponsor
the idea.
it. We'll sponsor it. Take it over because you're getting free publicity. So it is, it is a bit dodgy. I really feel a bit sort of sick when a company comes along and you built a homage to something that they do commercially, and they'll suddenly say, "Oh, you can't have that figurine in it or something because that's it's a trademark."
Well, you see with William Shatner, he could not do anything Star Trek after Star Trek was done.
Yeah,
he was under license. It's not one word, nothing.
Yeah.
So, they get really tight about that, and I can understand it because of all the piracy that's out there. But it's virtual worlds, and it's not identical. It's close enough.
It's homage and it's free publicity.
It's except that it's out of your control. So you've got your Mickey Mouse all of a sudden he's got adult paraphernalia. He's doing some kind of crazy thing with Minnie Mouse, and it's being filmed. You know, so
I get what you're saying, Maria, but I think that particular
watch that because they're
that particular park in SL, though, I think I've never been there, but I heard that it was very fantastic. There was none of that crazy stuff going on. But SL's another animal nowadays. But back then, it was just.
Well, yeah, Maria does actually have a point on the control thing. I think I think
but then you send in a representative every once in a while to keep a check on them.
Oh yeah. No, I mean, I think it's a definite. You do have to keep call that something. I'll make a confession here. I wasn't responsible for it, but back when I was young, I was closely aligned with a magazine that ended up getting prosecuted. It was always under the Obscenity Act and God knows what else. In the end, they couldn't actually pin down what they were prosecuting, but it all hinged on a cartoon that was fairly explicit, done by an American cartoonist, and a British person had taken a very well-known, we never taught in trademark terms in there, and it's a trade, but it's known as Rupert the Bear. It's a real kid's icon.
Yeah, I know who he is.
And they montaged Rupert the Bear's head onto this cartoon, which certainly was not Rupert the Bear. And, it caused an outroar because the cartoon was considered very risque in its graphic nature at the time. But, it was an American cartoon and, it's in underground comic and whatever. But this actually put the two together. In hindsight, I can actually understand that whoever owned Rupert the Bear or ran the estate would be mad about that, because it sort of denigrated their character. Yes. And of course, it wasn't till it had happened that they were aware of it. It wasn't though somebody run them up and said, is it okay if we? Is it okay if Rupert Bear acquires an appendage he's never had before?
Well, they're not going to, are they? The whole idea was the shock factor. So.
Yeah, exactly. But what Maria said does raise that issue.
Then sue the heck out of them. After when you get to that point, then sue the heck out of them. If you see Mickey Mouse running around with appendages, then you can get SL to yank them.
Yeah, it's an extreme example. But I think different companies have different attitudes to this. I mean, some companies rely on the fandoms that originate from their products, especially in television and film. And I think some have to grab it all and don't let anything do something unofficial. In case it messes up our storyline or reputation, and others actually encourage it because it's like a band with a fan club. The fan club is your publicist. They do all the things that the person who just hears the song and maybe buys an occasional album doesn't do. They promote you, and they are your fan base. It's a feedback loop.
It depends on how closely they want to control their brand image.
Yeah.
Now, in the case of Mickey Mouse, they definitely want to control their brand image very, very carefully. And since they can't be present in Second Life round the clock to keep an eye on Mickey, I think it's easier for them just to ban it right from the start.
I guess so.
But Tara also just posted a note that you can also lose your trademark if you, like, for example, like the word Xerox, if I'm going to Xerox this, I'm going to Xerox that. Some things you can lose your right to a particular name or concept. Now that refers to trademarks only. It doesn't have anything to do with copyrighted content, like Mickey Mouse. You can't lose your copyright. The only way you can lose your copyright is if it expires or you sell it to somebody else. But it's definitely true for trademarks. So they tend to be more aggressive about going after trademarks because trademarks you can lose.
So easy.
I mean, Disney are a bit of a pain in this regard because something that I was very I didn't really like. The original Star Wars went back to when I was a lot younger. I loved it like a lot of people did. I've even got interviews with George Lucas from the 1970s where he actually sketched out 3 trilogies. And, he later retracted and said, oh, no, I'm not going to do it, whatever. But over the years, the fandom means, there've been novels, there've been offshoots, and, various publishers and Lucasfilm have kept an eye on the timelines and done their best to make sure, if somebody's going to do an offshoot series, they do it from along a particular branch that's not going to be pursued by a movie, etc. And now Disney have bought, they're producing the new Star Wars movies, and they bought everything off, the rights to all that stuff off Lucasfilm. And they've actually withdrawn and taken off sale, years and years of legacy stuff because they don't want anything on the market anymore, by independent writers or whatever, that is suddenly going to conflict with their new timeline for the new series. And after 4 decades of Star Wars mythology and some wonderful, writing and conceptual work done on that universe, and all pretty well controlled, within a loose framework, it just seems such a shame that all that legacy is going to just almost disappear simply because the Disney Corporation want to make bought the rights and want to do, turn it into a Disney product and have their own legacy and control everything that even remotely relates to the, convoluted storylines. And I thought that was a real shame, because of the investment.
My whole point is that people are trying to reproduce these in Second Life or Open Sim. And I think, as you said, it's a tribute to them. And they are a little bit sticky, but like Maria said, you have to draw a line somewhere. You can't outlaw every what do you call it? Keep an eye on everything. You just can't.
Well, for sure, very quickly. I mean, you're an artist, right? So, different artists have different approaches to these things. It often depends on whether they work to commissions or whether they work in commercial art and the number of rights they sell and here, there, and everywhere. But, I mean, how do you view this kind of thing? Because presumably, the mural we were talking about, for example, if that commission is, it's only for a couple of years, of course, it's just not a matter. But, when that is commissioned, presumably as a commission, it will be owned, the original, as it were, is owned by the person who commissioned it.
That's right.
But, if you wanted to print posters of it and, the actual artwork is technically your copyright outside the brief, in other words, the commission. So you could plausibly keep records and print pictures of it and make money out of that. Whether you want to or would do, I don't know. But how do you feel generally, about this division of the creative side versus the protection of what is created? I think
it's really difficult because I know a lot of artists are so protective about their work. They don't like it being reproduced on anything or people stealing it in any way. But I think what I do is it's always public art. I consider it, once I've finished something, that it's out there for the public. This is why I don't do like gallery work or paintings or stuff like that, because it's such an elite audience, and I'd rather make work that is accessible to many more people. And once I've finished something, I'm not really bothered what happens to it, if people copy it or take pictures of it or if it gets reproduced or anything like that. I'm not precious about my work being copied or anything like that. So, yeah, I probably don't have the same view as a lot of artists do about their work.
But in your case, you would get notoriety by getting it out there more. It's more of a marketing tool for you, wouldn't it?
Well, yeah, that's the way I see it. I'm quite flattered if someone copies my work. I am quite flattered about it.
When, pardon me, when the internet first came along, it was about sharing information. Swapping information. Ownership of things really wasn't in the blueprint. That has all changed as the commerce has moved in. But we have situations, where people put their own web pages up to publicize themselves, and originally it's a level playing field. You could, a private page had as much prominence as a multinational corporation's page. Maybe best so if they put more work into the design and didn't look too corporate. But things like images would go up, and an artist, and I'm thinking of a friend of mine here right now, who does paintings in real life, and she would spend a considerable time on each, and very few of them are commissioned. She relies on saying the originals once she's done them. But has never been particularly interested in reproduction rights. Though they have an agent who reproduces in the catalogue, but not the reproduction generally. And come the internet age, she says, well, I will, a bit of advice. Well, I will scan these pictures and put them up on the web as a portfolio. Right. And, I say, well, yeah, limit the resolution, keep them compressed JPEGs, they're basically, you put them up as a quality that looks great on screen. But let people download them. It doesn't really matter. It's not going to affect your bottom line of selling originals or even selling prints, because what you're giving away is stuff people like, and they only get downloaded if they like it. And want to put it on their desktop, and they therefore, it's not as though you're losing anything out of that. But
no, because they're also putting out galleries in SL.
Yeah,
for one artist.
Yeah, but that's just what I was going to say. Right now, flash forward to now when I'm working on virtual worlds or with virtual worlds, I can actually take those scans, the best scans that this artist did, and I can put them up in a virtual gallery for her, so people can walk around in the virtual world and look at them. But because of the resolution of a virtual world and the way it scales, the quality of those pictures on the wall in the virtual gallery, even though you can never print file them when you downloaded them, they look bloody good on the wall. And I can mark prints of those for sale. And so suddenly there is a whole micro market available to that artist, and I can say, well, look, you'll only get, these low resolution JPEGs mounted on the prim are probably only going to fetch you maybe £1.50 per print in real life, which is nothing. But I say, well, if this is on a gallery and it's there for sale and it doesn't impact on your other income, then why not do it? Because, if somebody buys one, puts it on their wall, their friends come around and see it on their virtual wall, and where did you get that? And they go back and they want to get one. They come to the gallery and see one they like better and maybe buy that. But slowly but surely, micropayments can start adding up to a lot of money. If eventually you sell 1 million virtual posters to put on virtual house walls, if they're only £1 each, it doesn't matter. You just made £1 million. Now we're not at that scale yet, but it made me realise that something has started, as an equitable arrangement in the way we use the web, is suddenly superseded because something that isn't actually a great quality in one environment, in the virtual environment, takes on a new aspect. The same with the music industry, of course, knows this. They've actually found that by putting MP3s, which are crap, on the web, they could make a lot of money, and probably as much money as they make for a CD single. A better
example of that would be all the cell phone backgrounds that people pay money for.
Yeah.
Even though the resolution is awful and the picture quality is ridiculously low,
yeah,
people are willing to pay money for it because it's a closed system.
Yeah.
And in Second Life, places like that where it takes effort to bring content in and set it up and so forth, maybe it's worth it for somebody to pay a few cents for it instead of doing it themselves.
Yeah, it's not a thing. Well, look, I'm aware of the time here. Now, when I was talking, we were actually talking, this all came by Skype in the week. I hope this is okay with you, Leslie. I've got the Skype IM that we had a few days ago open just so that I can read it. Basically, Leslie Skyped me and said, just a question. Will you be, I think you mean covering. Will you be covering what the new SL means to SL people or to OpenSim? I hear viewers are going to be most hit by this change, meaning they will try to adjust to the new SL and leave OpenSim standing with old viewers. What is this new SL anyways, and what does it mean to SL residents? I heard it could mean starting over, mesh only, etc. I thought it just might be an interesting topic for your show. So, of course, I invited Leslie immediately onto the show so we could clear that up. I did reply to her, though, and I'll actually take the liberty of reading my reply, too. I said that Jessica from Firestorm had been on the show last week. And that sort of came into discussion slightly. But I said that, here's my opinion in a nutshell. And I said that my assessment of this, right, is that SL will continue while it's profitable, but probably fade away slowly. An increase in users of OpenSim will probably be the result, people chasing the environment they know. Linda now, meanwhile, will obviously pitch the new platform to SL users, with a lot of residents and possibly some creators switching over to the new platform slowly. And we're talking long term here, but a slow decline. Yeah. Those working with Mesh can effectively be doing both at the same time. Both at once, even now, by working offline. And OpenSim will remain a deployment option for the content for that content too. If SL eventually does go, OpenSim will probably benefit, as those who prefer that kind of platform see the writing on the wall. In other words, they want another SL, so they remove to OpenSim rather than to a natural new platform. By this time, it's unlikely that OS viewers will by that time, we're talking in the future, that time, it's unlikely OpenSim viewers will contain Linden Lab legacy code, and at least two of the present third-party viewers hope to have adopted a modular interface, which by that time, which will obviously include present and future functionality, but in a modular way.
But I also heard that they are going to have the SL will not take in third-party viewers. It's going to strictly be an SL viewer, period.
Yeah, the new
one.
Yeah, it's not going to be called SL.
It makes sense, so they can control the user experience. Because after all, if they can't compete against third-party viewers because they do such a lousy job at building viewers, the answer obviously is to ban third-party viewers.
Okay, but how does that affect it? Okay, you got Firestorm, you got Singularity, you got the others out there. Well, I'm not talking about the little guys.
Yeah,
I'm talking about the big guys that are actually making a lot of money in SL at the moment with their viewers. I don't know how they do it.
Yeah,
there's obviously a reason they do it.
Firestorm doesn't.
Firestorm is all volunteers. Yeah. I mean, they have a policy against taking money for viewer development work. In fact, they've got a huge team of volunteers. It's all open source. I think they'll continue doing what they do. I mean, Firestorm believes in the future of OpenSim. They have a viewer set up that straddles both worlds right now and does it very well. They're going to continue doing it. And if Second Life shuts them all out of the new platform, which I agree with Mal, they're likely to do that.
I think so too.
And then that means that the viewer developers will be exclusively focused on supporting OpenSim development, because that's where development will happen, because there will be no more development on the Second Life platform.
Yeah, I mean, imagine, if Linden Lab get a lot of their regular users over to the new platform. It's a totally new platform, so existing viewers
many that are not creators that just live there.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Linden Labs will obviously use their weight as the sole owners and managers of Second Life to persuade as many Second Life residents to come and try their super new whiz-band platform that they can also use on the tablet and blah, blah, blah. They will do their best. They will do their best to get those customers to move over, and there will be certain things like Mesh that can possibly come over, but also the currency and avatar names will be come over from the old platform.
From my understanding, I have to go get my source for this, but from my understanding is you start brand spanking new. Inventories are gone.
Yeah.
You have to create a new avatar. Monies are gone. Everything.
Well, my understanding actually is that you better keep your avatar name. You'll be able to keep your Linden Lab currency. Remember, not Second Life currency, it's Linden Lab currency. And that's for creators, certain things in the way of mesh will be adaptable to be imported. But that, we don't know. And Linden Lab being Linden Lab, unlike Hi-Fi and other places, they are just closed shop about this. We're not going to find out anything.
We're in beta now, so for that.
Yeah, we're just not getting anything, out on this. But it is, it's nearing completion. It's far ahead of some real new platforms like Hi-Fi, for example. But my feeling, is, these new platforms will require new viewers. And I would say almost certainly Linden Labs will, like they do with everything else over time, they close the loop. They won't be giving away any code that third-party people can make viewers out of. They'll want to control the viewer now. And it may change over a long period of time, but initially you'll have a new platform viewer and a new platform and just a few levels of compatibility like virtual currency and names. And I may even be wrong there, for example. But, But I'm thinking of the interface we have now. Some people still like the old Imprudence interface, which looks like Second Life 1. Others like the newer Firestorm kind of interfaces and stuff like that. But they're all interfaces to the same kind of architecture. OpenSim still shares a lot of commonality in the way the environments are structured and created with Second Life. And, if Second Life suddenly wasn't there, I think there are a huge number of Second Life users who couldn't cope with going to something completely new and would want to continue the path, be it creative or just residential, that they commonly still use. And they would actually probably see OpenSim, and especially the existence of the hypergrid, as a replacement for that. So I think the current Second Life people will ultimately divide between people who come to somewhere like the hypergrid, which has a commonality and a similarity to Second Life, and others who will actually make the jump to the completely new platform. And some may do both. But my response to your question was longer term. But while we're all here, again, I'm going to go back to Praline if she's able to answer this, because I know Cherry won't. As artists, creators and things, and you hear this being discussed, or maybe you haven't, I don't know. I'd ask Fuschia the same question in a minute. What is your reaction to this? I mean, you have obviously made transitions from Second Life to OpenSim. I know Cherry, for example, is still active in Second Life. I'm in there. We do one show a month in there as well. It's not like we've abandoned Second Life yet for OpenSim. It's just we've changed our focus. And but we've been able to do that because there's a commonality between the two worlds. If you can mangle the prim in Second Life, the chances are you can mangle the prim the same way in OpenSim. That's what it comes down to, isn't it? And similar things. We have things here like NPCs and stuff that Linden Lab don't and won't have. Likewise, there are certain things in the Second Life platform they're doing with their habit physics and stuff or whatever that we don't have here and probably wouldn't want. We prefer different physics engines. But how do you, as you're a user, but you're also a creator, how do you feel about that possibility? If Second Life wasn't here, would you shift to OpenSim, or would you try out a new platform, or would you gamble to a certain extent on diving into something totally new? Praline, I'm asking first, by the way. Do you understand what I said, or have I?
Well, not all, but I think I have the pitch, and I what I can consider that is these tools will become more and more difficult to take in hand for people, But maybe it's a question of time, because when I saw children, it will be so easy for them because I'm from I have an age. Yes, I had to learn about computers and so and so. I'm not e-born, you know. So I think it's maybe we have not the at my age. I think we have not the good answer and the good focus on it. You know, I think it's a normal evolution, but.
Yeah.
Yes, I think it's normal, and we you know, first time I was on SL in 2009, I think, yes, and I really don't know what was a primitive. I really don't know. And now I'm working. Yes, I'm trying to work with Blender. but it's a big
but. Yes, I hear this a lot. Yeah,
I think we grow with the system, you know.
Yeah, I'm sure. You know, I mean, we haven't mentioned things like high fidelity or improbable today, but you know, it's not just a new Second Life. People might be having to make decisions about jumping to a wildly different platform, and I think different people make different decisions. But we have to move with the times. We really have to make our decision when the time comes. We can't predict, and you know, artists, I presume, will be anxious to always explore new mediums. So if something is better and shows more potential, you'll go there as well, maybe. If it doesn't show potential, maybe you won't bother, you know. Okay, well, thanks. Thanks, Praline. We'll leave it at that. I'm going to ask, I'm conscious of time in terms of rounding up here, so I'm going to ask the same question to Fuschia. If those choices, the sort of choices we've just been discussing, came about, would you switch from SL completely to here, or would you be interested in the new SL, or you know, or would you just be open to anything?
I would definitely have a look at it. Yeah, I when it comes out, I will log on and I will have a look, see what's happening there. But I don't know, because you kind of establish communities and stuff on Second Life and in the other virtual worlds on hypergrids and OS, and you get to know people, and unless they're going to move over as well, will you stay there, you know?
Yeah, exactly. You follow your friends and stuff, but also as an artist, I mean, I presume you get you know, it's like your the brushes and the paints you use to paint that mural. The creative tools you have in OpenSim and Second Life are very similar, and you develop a routine, don't you? Of, you know, part of your art is learning to control and express yourself with those tools. So the thought of moving to a whole new tool set, could I imagine?
Well, yeah, but I mean, when you first joined Second Life, like Praline was saying, all the tools were completely new. You had to learn how to use those. So jump into a new platform, it's just going to be the same as it was when you first joined Second Life. You're going to have to learn a new way of working. It's just a new medium, really.
Yeah. As seems to be the case with high fidelity, for example, as well. Okay, well, that's good to know. And any other closing thoughts on that from you, Leslie, since it was your topic, so to speak?
Well, I'm just hoping that they make the transition easy for people to go back into Second Life, even with the new format. It just would bother me that I'd have to start all over again, I think. Because people spend thousands and thousands of real dollars in inventories, and for all that to go because they're prim-based is a shame. And I think that will make more people peeved than anything.
Yeah, my virtual possession, and they won't even let me export it to OpenSim. Even worse. Yeah. Maria, any thoughts on?
Blue Mars had the same problem. On the other hand, it's been a few years later, and our inventories have gotten so big and unusable that maybe we'll leave just to have a nice clean slate to start with.
I've got to agree, actually. There would be a certain stress factor, you know, the sheer relief of having my inventory wiped out. I'd actually be going up the blasted wall screaming Blue Murder and Linda Knapp, but in a way, you know, it might be an opportunity for an uncluttered new start. Okay, well we are running. Sorry, Maria.
I said we'll see when we see.
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly. We never know what the future holds, and it may surprise us or it may scare us something. Right. So I'm keeping an eye on the time here. We're over our 90 minutes, which we always are, but it's the warning that I've got to round up, really. What I like to do at the end of the show, as many of you know, is actually just go around again, all the guests individually, and ask them if there's anything exciting happened in the last week or two that they want to express their excitement about, or indeed anything coming up other than the topics we've already discussed or been here to talk about. So I'll start with you, Cherry, and one more to point, Praline. Beyond Festavi, anything exciting going on in your avatar life, or even real life for that matter at the moment, that or coming up that you want to say anything about?
No, just we have a workshop each Friday. No, vendredi. Yes, each Friday evening. Yes, Cherry runs the workshop.
Oh, very good. Now on Franco.
Yes.
On Franco Grid. Yeah. What region on Franco Grid is it?
And it's the region Cherry Praline, CHERRY space Praline.
Praline.
Yeah.
As in you, PRALINE. Okay. Oh, well, that's wonderful. Yes. We'll have to, if I have a Friday free, I'll have to check out on that. It's not Wednesday, or I say Safari could come, but yeah. Right. Okay. Well, thanks for that. Fuschia, anything? Same question, really. Anything else on your mind that we haven't discussed so far?
I would just like to say that it's coming up to the year anniversary of the HG Safari.
Oh, yeah, of course.
And we're going to be having a big party. And I think that's the 20th or 22nd of May, something like that, whatever the Wednesday is that week. So that would be our year anniversary.
Last week was week 49, was it? So, yeah, it's 50,
that's right,
51,
yes. 20th. Cherry's just posted 20th of May, yes.
Oh.
We'll be having live singers, and I think Truly Telling is going to be one of them. And possibly Whirly Placebo.
It'd be a 24-hour safari. Around the clock celebration, midnight to midnight, in whatever time zone you are.
Well, we're aiming to have possibly 3 live singers on, so yeah, it would be a good party.
We could have a sort of lightning dash around grids, instead of the normal leisurely safari. We could do one every 5 minutes for 24 hours. Can you imagine? We'd actually probably bring the whole hypergrid down, because every other grid we end up at crashes under the weight of the safari. Great stuff. Okay, thanks. Leslie, anything else you've on your mind, excited about at the moment or coming up?
Our fashion show is coming up, and it is from May 2nd to the 7th of June. Okay. And we still have some booths still open if anybody wants to show their wares. I would love to see these 2 girls here, the French girls, bring their stuff over, and we're going to have live DJs Friday, Saturday for the month. Mm-hmm. So, and there'll be different musics, different genres.
Going to have any kind of contests or fashion shows?
Well, the biggest problem is people who know how. You know what I mean?
Fine. I am herding the cats with the knowledge.
I'm not a fashion coordinator. I'm a grid owner.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I would love to have the poses they walk back and forth. I would love to have someone announce, like they do in IW, this, and this is designed by this, and this. But it's really hard to get people to work doing that sort of thing. It's sad, but
they got to be the diehards, and
and it's always a bit of a chicken and egg problem too. If there's going to be a big audience, they will come, but in order for the big audience to come, you need to have something for them to see.
Exactly.
So I guess over time it'll happen. Send me an announcement about it, so at least more people will know that it's happening, and fashion designers can maybe sign up ahead of time.
Yeah, and like the girls here with the avatars, that'd be cool. That's kind of like fashion, is it not? Different style avatar.
Art meets fashion. Yeah. Definitely.
Fashion. Anyway, very cutting edge.
Fashion is art.
Cutting edge fashion. Yes.
Yeah. Fashion is art.
Go one step higher. And maybe, I don't know if you know, this is just a really quick one. I don't know if you know that OpenSim Diva was approached by Moses to install the, I think it's called Physics engine.
Yeah.
It's another engine, but they turned it down.
Who turned it down?
Yeah.
Who turned it down?
The Diva's in the chat. If you go to OpenSim Diva, that website.
Diva Canto.
Got the link somewhere, but
Krista Lopez, you're talking about?
I saw the newsroom discussion. The email list discussion about physics with Moses offering it.
Let me get this for you real quick.
But yeah, if you can email me offline later,
Yeah, we better not linger on that. Yes, I did.
But I think that's sad. Because Moses is an actual military, and they hire people to actually create this stuff.
Again, it's the same thing. You need people to support it, and OpenSim has only so many resources to go around to support every project.
Well, I'm hoping that OpenSim kind of gets a little bit caught up, because if SL does get to the point where people say, I'm not going back to that because it's too new for me, and they want to come to OS, we better be ready for them.
I mean, Moses is actually very good in the sense that they're a private metaverse and they're part of the military, basically. But they do have open events, and they do cooperate a lot with OpenSim, on which they're based. So they do give feedback and contributions to OpenSim.
Yeah.
So
they offered it for free.
It's a bit like Avination.
Said no.
There's a lot of contributory code, even though their own grid is completely separate. So
okay, but I will get you that, Maria, so you can read up on it. But just basically, the Diva said so, which is sad.
Well, we can maybe investigate that in next week or later.
Okay.
That will be interesting, I must say. And talking of fashion, I do know exactly what you mean, because as a broadcaster working on broadcasts and filming, of course, the biggest pain of all are the fashionista events, whether it be a Mr. Virtual World, a Miss Virtual World, or just a fashion house doing their fashion. So it's drama all the way, and I have far too many people involved, and they all want to pitch in. And actually, it's the exact opposite of what your problem of finding the people. That is often cluttered by too many people, at least in Second Life. But they tend to be really major logistical nightmares, just because of their complexity. So you might be better off without the show side of it. Just exhibit the fashions and forget about the.
Well, the runway's there. The runway's there. The tables are there. There's going to be entertainment. There's places you can go to each little stall and see what everybody's up to. Yeah. But like I said, there is still openings, and we are hypergrid enabled. You just can't bring things in and out, but you can, I think, with the suitcase. If I'm not mistaken, semi-closed, you can still drop things from your suitcase. So
anything that's allowed in and out of your suitcase.
But hold on. So if there's freebies there, I can't teleport in to get those freebies and take them home.
It's a semi-closed grid, Maria.
So the filtering is all or nothing. Like some grids filter it so that if it's full perm, it can leave, but everything else has to stay, for example.
Can you do one region like that? Or does it have to be the whole grid?
I don't know.
I think you'd have to investigate. I think it can be done by region. I do know that, for example, parts of the Great Canadian Grid here are effectively closed. And if you want to allow something to go for sale, you have to make it copyable and mark it for export, and then people can take it and out in their suitcase. Otherwise, if you don't specify that, content stays on this grid, whether it's free. But it also has its own money system now. So when you buy stuff here, it can be exportable, but it has to be paid for in the Podex currency.
What else?
But you can't sell something for, well, it's odd. You can't sell something for nothing because it still requires a Paydex account. But you can give away something for nothing, and you can mark it exportable. So it's pros and cons. And actually, this particular, I'd have to check with Roddy, but I understand that this particular sim, MetaWorld, is completely open as opposed to the rest of the grid for hypergrid activity. Whether that has changed,
I don't know. I'll talk to T-Mac and see what he has to say, because he's my tech guy and he is a co-owner of Tango. But I'll have to ask him, because I know we can select regions to be hypergrid or not.
Yeah,
that I know. But to actually pick one and say, okay, you can do this, 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 and this on this one, I don't know.
Well, you have to investigate, and we'll
I'm going to do a test.
We'll come back and have a discussion on this very issue.
But one of the reasons I go to expos is to pick up freebies.
Yeah,
I understand.
So
that's why I travel the hypergrid all over the place, and I'm not fiddling around with when I'm not fiddling with what I've acquired. I go out looking for what I can acquire. It's as simple as that.
But
okay, Maria, closing thoughts.
Sign me up. I'm going to make a collection of mid-length skirts using freebie carpet samples, and I'm going to put it up on Kitely, and I will take a booth in your fashion expo, and I will promote the hell out of those Kitely listings of my mid-length carpet sample skirts.
You got you'll reserve it tomorrow for you.
To develop a whole new reputation as a fashionista, as a sole manufacturer of very strange carpet skirts.
Remember us when you get rich, okay?
Maria, any closing thoughts? I'm really running over time here.
Oh, and not just carpet samples. Oh, out of copyright classic paintings. Woohoo! All right.
Oh yeah, you can scan those and sell them. Very nice.
Yep.
Okay, well, if that's it. Okay, well, I'm going to have to close because we are late. If you want links throughout the week, do check my Twitter feed, twitter.com/malburns, or one word. And if you're interested, mostly Second Life in machinima, destinations, arts and things, I have another feed under my Second Life avatar name, which is twitter.com/malburns_writer. For definitely more serious stuff. And everyone, do follow Hypergrid Business. Again, twitter.com/Hypergrid Business. Or for duplicates and a few extra things, you can follow twitter.com/Meta Maria. And I haven't sung that name for a while, but I'm going to resist. Or just go to hypergridbusiness.org, as you always do. So we will be back, same place. We'll be here. I can't. I'm not sure who our guests are that week. I do know the week after that we'll be in Second Life, and the week after that we'll be joined by none other than Krista Lopez, who I'm really looking forward to having on. So all it means for me to do now is to just thank all our guests once again. Thank you, Cherry Manga, and thank you, Praline, for coming with her.
Thank you. That was a pleasure, really.
Okay, it was great to have you, and we maybe see you again. We'll certainly be running over to Festavi before long anyway. Thanks also to Leslie Kling from Tangle Grid. Thank you, Leslie. Good to have you back.
Thanks for having me.
Wonderful. And thanks to Fuschia for being here, both in respect of Festavi and all the other updates. It's been great having you.
Thanks for inviting me.
Our pleasure. You're always welcome. And thanks to Tara, who is obviously on camera, but not in the seats. She has been contributing a few prompts behind the scenes, including telling me to get off the air. You're late. And of course, thanks to my other co-host, as ever, Maria Karloff. So thank you, Maria.
Thank you for having me. Always a pleasure.
And with that, I'll do my usual sign-off before we go. And that is really just to wish you all a very good morning, or good afternoon, or a good evening, or indeed a good tomorrow, depending on wherever and whenever you are. And as far as I'm concerned, the clock struck midnight halfway through, so I straddled both. Yeah. We'll see you next week. Thank you all very much.